Hello and welcome to GoaCast, the official podcast of Goa Fest. This year, the theme is the Age of Adaptability, and we are bringing you some really interesting conversations from the field of media, advertising, branding, and all, and a whole bunch of more. And right now, with me, I am joined by Mr. Sujeet Kulkarni. He is an advisory consultant and e-learning specialist at WARC. Sujeet, thank you so much for taking out the time.
Thank you for having me.
Sujeet, first up, we would like to speak about your masterclass session. Could you tell us what is the topic and what's the idea that you want to share with everyone here at Goa Fest?
I think so. The masterclass session was built around a topic we call the anatomy of effectiveness. Essentially, we look at the 5 fundamental building blocks of what makes for great advertising. So at WARC, we have this library of amazing award-winning case studies from around the world. We went through that and came up with what was the common ingredient in these winning case studies. So that is what I hope to present. I basically took the people through a little bit of a teaser of what each of the principles holds, with some examples from India and around the world to basically illuminate that. And yeah, it was, I think, a good session. We had a lot of questions, went pretty well, I think.
So what, if you could rather briefly tell us, what are these 5 things which make a campaign effective?
Sure. So the 5 building blocks initially, so they start with investing for growth. So you need to put a sufficient amount of money based on your objectives. Then you need to figure out how you balance your spend. So how much to go towards brand building, how much will go towards activation or performance marketing. Once you've done that, you have to look at your media plan and optimize for reach, because reach is quite foundational when it comes to effectiveness. Now, once these 3 conditions are in place, that's where you focus on the message itself. So it's all about being creative, how you can use creativity to level the playing field, to supercharge your effectiveness. And ultimately, the idea is to plan for recognition. You want to aim for fame. You want to use distinctive brand assets to make sure that you are increasing mental availability in the minds of the consumer.
And do these things go in an order, or can they be...
So usually this process, depending on the company, can sometimes happen simultaneously, but ideally it has to start with setting the right objectives, deciding based on that how much to invest, and then going from there.
Thank you so much for that. And I'm pretty sure those who couldn't attend this session would have absolutely loved the fact that you just broke it down for us. I wanted to speak to you especially about, as I said in the beginning, in the intro, your role is that of an e-learning specialist. Can you break that down for us? Like, what exactly do you look into? Because I have some questions and thoughts about e-learning, and possibly you are in the right place to answer. So if you could just break it down.
So WARC is actually part of the Lions family. So we have our sister companies, Can Lions, we have Contagious, and the 3 of these companies together have combined to come up with a Lions e-learning platform. So we started out last year with the Masters of Advertising Effectiveness that we do with James Herman, a multiple award-winning strategist, and we had fantastic response. It's a great course. So if anybody is looking also at like a 6-week course to understand the fundamentals of what makes advertising effective.
It's an online thing, I'm guessing?
Yes, it's online, so people from around the world can join in. You have a great cohort, there's interactivity, and of course James is a great instructor as well. This year, we have just very recently launched the first cohort of the Creative MBA. So that's the next course.
That's really
that we
interesting.
have. So it's again looking into creativity, different aspects of it, and basically how can we be more creative in the line of work, and of course in terms of developing a creative thinking style, bringing in some elements of design thinking into it.
So could podcaster be a possible ideal sort of candidate for such an MBA?
Definitely. If creativity is something that almost all of us, unless you're working in a very data-heavy field where ideally you would not be creative.
If you're telling a story to a kid, you are being creative to a certain level, right?
So this is something that applies to everyone. So particularly those in the ad world, in the media industry, where working with creatives or dealing in creativity is almost a day-to-day thing. I think it's a very good program to look at. in terms of just understanding how you can perhaps in some ways, they say make creativity boring in the sense that structure it, learn certain ways to think about it so that it doesn't become an inspirational thought once in a while, but rather there's a system behind it.
Yeah, so no more staring at blank pages, hopefully.
Correct.
The theme of this year's GoaCast and Goa Fest rather is the Age of Adaptability. And the reason why I spoke about e-learning and I wanted to learn, or rather understand from you about the recent developments that have happened. Specifically, ChatGPT released a new version, Omni, and I was looking at one of the videos in which a kid is being taught how to do basic trigonometry, and my first thought was like, what happens to online learning now? Because it's an AI doing it. I mean, of course, it might take a while for it to fine tune, but do you think that is something that could be in a near future, that online learning and distance learning could get offshooted by AI and such similar tools?
I think the way AI looks now versus how it might look 5 or 10 years down the line is going to be very, very different.
Yeah.
So I would say it's a bit difficult to comment on that, but what I have seen so far in terms of, say, generative AI, so ChatGPT, Midjourney, some of these other services, is that the human oversight is still very, very critical.
Absolutely.
Because AI is learning from what we are inputting into it. So particularly if you're using it in a marketing context, if you're using it in line of advertising and creativity, you need to make sure that there is a human element to it, so that there's no threat of brand safety, there's no kind of IP infringement that is happening. Yeah, and there's always the issue of deepfakes, which are also happening. So there are a number of issues around it that still require a lot of human involvement. And the way it is going, again, nobody can predict how it would look, say 5 years down the line. But at the moment, I think having the human element combined with AI is quite important.
I'm all for that. But yeah, as you said, we don't know where things will be going. Sujeet, thank you so much for taking out the time. Thank you so much for being here with us and sharing your thoughts with us. This was our conversation with Mr. Sujeet Kulkarni. We will be back at GoaCast from the Goa Fest with more such conversations. Stay tuned.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you so much.